Since I read that super chat, thank you again for your generosity. I want to share with you another super chat. It wasn't on this channel, it was on another channel. This particular super chat happened on, well, this guy's channel, so Joel Webbon. And it was a big super chat to ask a question. Basically boils down to, why does Joel hate Israel? Why does Joel hate Israel? And Joel goes into explaining, well, he talks about anti-Semitism, and he has a real difficult time with the word anti-Semitism, doesn't like that word, so he uses a different term that we'll jump into in just a second. But he does basically, he concludes with, I don't hate Israel. I've never asked any harm to be done to Israel. I don't have a problem with them as a nation. I've never asked for them to end with a mushroom cloud or something like that. But he talks a little bit more vaguely about the Jewish people. Now, last week I did a talk about this where this same guy said temples, Hindu temples, and mosques would not be allowed in a Christian nation. Sure, you can be Muslim, but you can't have a public place to worship. And in that video, I said, yeah, synagogues will be next. Well, in this video, he says, yeah, synagogues would have to go as well. It's Israel as a nation he doesn't have a problem with. But again, he's a little more vague on whether or not he has a problem with Jewish people. And so he offers a few conditions. So whereas you and I might say, we use the term anti-Semitic, which is an irrational hatred of Jewish people, he would say sinful hatred of Jews. That anti-Semitism really boils down to a sinful hatred of Jews. But again, like I said, he offers these conditions. So sinful hatred of Jews, of Jewish people, would be that you lump all Jewish people together. So it's a universal statement, and it's unjustifiable. It's unjustifiable. It's without cause. His words, beyond any moral justification, beyond any legitimate wrongdoing. So, sinful hatred of Jews is when you lump all Jewish people together, and you don't have a good reason. Okay, you don't have a real good reason. You don't have a legitimate there was nothing, that there was no legitimate wrongdoing done to you. There is no such thing as righteous hatred. So the term sinful hatred is an oxymoron. Hatred is sinful, period. Doesn't matter how it arises. It doesn't matter who it's for, what it's for. Hatred is sinful, period. There is no righteous hatred. Not for a Christian. There is no righteous hatred. At no point does Jesus ever tell us to hate people. At no point does Jesus ever tell us, think about what he says about enemies. Love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. If you shouldn't hate your enemy, who in the world should you hate? If you shouldn't hate somebody who is actively trying to destroy you, who should you hate? And yet Jesus says, no, you don't hate your enemy. You love your enemy. You pray for those people who are persecuting you. You pray for those people who are tormenting you. You pray for those people who are out to get you without cause. So when he says, sinful hatred, all hatred is sinful. All of it. There is no justified hate. And I know, folks, it might be difficult for us to understand. I do get that. With all the things that are happening in this world, with those few people who are causing so much harm to so many, It's hard. It's hard not to hate when we can see, when we can see and understand that it's a select few. It's so easy not to hate that select few. There's a passage in 1 John chapter 4, verse 20. The writer says, if anyone says, I love God and hates his brother, he is a liar. For he who does not love his brother cannot love God. No room for hate in this journey. Absolutely no room for hate on this little Christian trip we're taking. None. It doesn't fit. It takes us away from living the life that Jesus would have us live. See, hatred's a toxin. You can be angry, and there is righteous anger, and there's rational anger. There's irrational anger and disproportionate anger as well. But anger is something that is natural and normal. And anger has value. Absolutely. Anger has value. Anger can be inspirational. Anger can show you where there are gaps that need to be filled. Anger can help you see where there are growth opportunities and possibilities. Anger has value, and anger can be righteous. Not hatred, though. And anger should never be allowed to turn into hatred. It shouldn't be allowed to fester. You got to deal with it. If you don't deal with it, then it does become this tumor that destroys our life energy. This problem, this thing that gets between, doesn't just get between us and the object of our hatred, it gets between us and God. For a guy like Webbon, how can he say, well, it's okay to hate so long as it's not sinful hatred? If you can hate a person, if you can hate a community, if you can hate a religion, if you can hate a culture, then what you're saying is, I can hate something that God put in this world. If I can say that I hate you, then I'm saying I can hate something that God created. I can hate something that is created in God's image. I can hate a child of someone that I profess to love. How can I possibly do that? How can I possibly say that I love God while at the exact same time saying, but I hate what God made? Hatred doesn't just get between us and the thing that the object of our hate. It gets between us and the creator of the object that we hate. It gets between us and God. And it flies in the face of Jesus' teachings. It flies in the face of Jesus' desire that we should all be in relationship with one another, that we should be in right, healthy, loving relationship with one another, that we should be in the kind of relationship where you and I are helping one another through this temporal life. If I hate you, I'll be damned if I'm going to help you. So hatred stops us from doing that. There is no righteous hatred. None. Even in war, which I despise, hatred in a time of war leads to evil on the battlefield. More evil than already exists as we try to kill one another. Hatred leads to us thankful and happy in the suffering of others. It leads to us gratified when others fail. Oh, it brings out the absolute worst in us. It brings out the worst, our worst possible reactions. It brings out our worst, the worst aspects of our nature. When we hate, we are capable of doing the most vile, evil, awful, unthinkable things. There is no such thing as righteous hatred. There is no such thing as justified hatred. There is no such thing as a moral justification for hatred. There is no such thing as there is nothing that anybody can do to me, to you, to us, that makes it okay. That makes our hatred legitimate. This is not the teaching of Jesus Christ. This is not the teaching of Jesus Christ. This is the teaching of a man using religion to justify their cultural and personal understandings of their nature. Instead of doing as Christ says, which is to transcend our nature, this is a person dragging Jesus down into the mud with them to justify living in the mud. We are to be people of love. Sometimes anger will seep in, but never hatred. Amen.